Welcome to the Civility Clinic, where people with lived experience are the experts. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie Van. I'm a Vietnamese female with long black hair, wearing a yellow and beige blouse, sitting in front of a blank white background. And my guests tonight are a powerhouse duo of entrepreneurship, innovation, and accessibility. Please welcome Adriana Mallozzi and Mariella Paulino-Peralta. Thank you guys so much for being here. And we also have our producer and my co-host, Ajani AJ Murray. Thank you for being here. Let's go around and have everyone introduce themselves.
I'm Adriana, the co-founder of the A11y Conference. I am a white female power wheelchair user. I have ear-length dark hair with some silver in it. I'm wearing a yellow short sleeve shirt, and I have a virtual background that is white with black and light blue dots that has A11y Conference in the top right corner.
Hi, everybody. So excited to be here. My name is Mariella Paulino-Peralta. So strange saying that I just got married. So it's like, okay, we need to add that in there. I am a Hispanic woman. I am a Hispanic woman. I have shoulder length, dark hair. I am wearing a white button-up shirt, and my background, just like Adriana's, is the white background with circles that are blue and black, and it says the Ally A11y Conference that Adriana and I are hosting. Very excited to be here today.
Hi, my name is Ajani AJ Murray, and as Dr. Stephanie said, I'm the producer here on the channel. It's really great to be here today. Oh, my audio description. I am an African-American male power wheelchair user, and I have a short haircut, and I have headphones on, and I'm wearing a green olive short sleeve shirt.
Obviously, A11y or A11 or Ally, that's kind of a mystery to some people who may not know what you guys are cooking up. Do you want to just give us like a two-liner on what this thing is you've created?
So A11y is a numerism for accessibility, which is 11 letters. So you have A11y for the numerism accessibility. And we started the accessibility conference because one of the things that Adriana and I noticed in our conversations was that a lot of these conferences and these spaces around accessibility have leaders and have individuals that don't necessarily have disabilities themselves. In fact, very few of these organizations working in accessibility have people with disabilities in their staff, period. And that is a problem.
We've attended and participated in some conferences, but it's always, about us, but without us, right? And how can you talk about disability when you don't have anyone in leadership, anyone actually presenting that represents that population that you are serving or that you say that you're serving?
So we wanted to put a conference that was by and for people with disabilities, where all of our speakers are people with disabilities, to really show that people with disabilities are experts in this space and have a lot to offer. We don't need infantilization. We don't need others to represent us. We are here.
A lot of people don't recognize that. And we want to make a space where people are recognized that, yes, they are experts. What they've experienced has led to them having expertise in that area of life and disability. So that's really important to us.
I love that this work that you're both you were doing separately and now you're teaming up. I mean, that's what this movement is all about, is connecting and sharing ideas within the community and lifting each other's experience and expertise up. I'd love to hear more about the conferences that have been in the past, because, a conference that's by and for people with disabilities, unfortunately, that seems like a novel concept. What have been your experiences in the past with conferences? Where have been the barriers to people with disabilities really connecting and lifting each other up?
I want to really touch on a specific instance that really inspired us to do this. We were pitching, and the interviewer asked us, what is it like to be someone who suffers from a disability? And I looked at Adriana, and Adriana was just ready to fight. And I was just like, okay, girlfriend, take a breather. But the thing is that that has really been a continuous thing in a lot of conversations. It is this perception that people who don't have disabilities have, that we are suffering, that our lives are so terrible, that there is this underlying sense of just pity in these conversations. It was the word paternalistic, yeah, and infantilization in these spaces where people with disabilities are seen as being unable to lead, being unable to do these conferences. And you see it across pretty much every conference I've been to, where they are not hiring consultants to check on accessibility. They are putting these conferences on accessibility where the MC, the speakers, like not a single person with a disability is presenting on the panel where an individual will pitch about their lived experience with disability and then be passed over for somebody who is an expert. One additional challenge in this space is also that it is a very white space. That is just the reality of the matter. And so coming in as a Hispanic woman, there is sometimes a sense of tokenization that happens there. So that is what I have seen as a person with disability going into these spaces. Adriana, what are your thoughts there?
Actually, this was a conversation yesterday that I had with a group of wheelchair users, and just talking about accommodating, the needs of wheelchair users when planning a conference. Whereas more often than not, accommodations, people have to fly in or travel from wherever, and thinking, not reserving hotels with accessible rooms, or taking into consideration the proximity of these hotels and how people are going to get from the venue or from the hotel to the venue. Also timing, right? Many of these conferences start at 8 a.m. We know, especially AJ and I know, it takes us a while to get ready in the morning. Someone physically has to help us with all aspects of getting ready in the morning. We would have to wake up 5:30 to be there by 8 a.m. Yes. And then we'll be exhausted. And also take into account finding accessible transportation if the conference does not, have that. And that happens a lot. It happens a lot. I've been to conferences all over the country, and I've had to just be creative of how to get from A to B, and maybe not use the recommended hotels or whatever it is that they recommend, the recommended transportation. And another thing that we really want to focus on in this conference is having real life issues discussed, right? We want to talk about sexuality. We want to talk about healthcare. We want to talk about parenting with a disability. These are not topics that are ever covered in any disability related conference I've ever been to. And why isn't it? That's part of our lives. These are things that people want to do just like anyone else. And people can share their experiences with each other and help each other, lead lives just like anyone else. Yesterday, we were all wheelchair users talking about travel, and we all shared tips and tricks of how we protect our wheelchair when we travel, and it was amazing because each person had
That's a
something
workshop within itself. Excuse
yeah,
me.
and each person had something unique. Like one person said they attach a walkie-talkie to their chair so they could talk with the operator, and I was like, that's all of us in there were like, oh my God, light bulb. Like that's a brilliant idea. And we will all be doing that now. you know? And so things like that, this is what we want to happen at this conference. We want people to share these experiences and their life hacks, because we can all benefit.
And you've had to
from
be the
these
most
life
creative in a world that is not built to be inclusive or accessible. I think that is amazing. And it already sounds like you had like a focused small group that could have been part of the conference yesterday.
People don't realize, and I am one of those people who did not realize how costly it is to make an event accessible. And it's very prohibitive, and so and people don't think about it, or people don't know. And I definitely did not know how much things cost, such as ASL interpreters or live transcription and other technical devices that are needed for accessibility purposes. That all costs money, and obviously people deserve to get paid for their work. But I it never crossed my mind how much that costs. And so I think it's really important for people to realize what it takes to make a fully inclusive event possible. And instead of really, putting people down about certain things, find a solution, help them get the service, help them make it more inclusive by, suggesting, hey, if you could get funding here or there. We're looking for sponsors to cover the costs of ASL interpreters and captioning and other accessibility needs for all types of disabilities. So it would be really, helpful to want to get the word out through this episode. But yeah, it's just something that's not talked about at all. It's what it takes to run an event that's fully inclusive, fully accessible, and the resources that it takes, because it takes a lot of resources to do it. And that is what I'm learning during this process of organizing this event.
And I wanted to mention something for people who make and build and design hotels. A lot of times when I travel and I want to book a room with either a personal care assistant or my mom, there's only one bed. A lot of people with mobility issues, even if you don't necessarily have mobility issues,
Yeah.
a lot of people work with staff and aides that are not their intimate partners. So I've seen so many. If you get an accessible room with a rolling shower, there's one
Yeah.
and I love my mom, but I've had to share the bed many times because they don't have, like, it's not a double bedroom. So I know it's kind of random, but when you think about it, it is connected to the conference, and for the conferences for the future, making sure put more than one bed in accessible rooms.
It's funny that you brought that up, because that is actually something that we discussed yesterday as well. How we always have to share a bed with the person that is helping us. And luckily, the PCA that I travel with, she and I have known each other for a while. And so you know, we know each other so well that we're comfortable enough, but still, I prefer sleeping in my own bed. I'm an adult, and most adults do not share a bed unless they are intimate with that person, or they're, you know, they know that it's a one-time thing. It's a one, you know, that they have to. But for the most part, when they travel, they don't share a bed.
Who made that decision? Like,
I don't
who
know.
said?
Someone without a disability. You know, when a conference is organized by people who understand access needs, who have access needs themselves, it's such a relief for the people who want to attend the conference. It's one less thing they have to worry about all of a sudden. That's so nice. Are you encouraging people who are attending with access needs to like document their journeys and document their attendance experience? So to kind of showcase what a conference that's accessible really looks like?
So that is definitely one of the things that we are thinking about. Right now, our biggest priority is getting speakers. So I encourage and I hope that this series that you guys are putting together reaches as many advocates as possible. We want to be able to secure our speakers. We are in the process of securing our venue, which is going to be the next big challenge. As Adriana pointed out, one of the things that we want to make sure is that the space where the conference is being hosted is accessible. We are finalizing all of these details 74 days away. That is how far the conference is. So we are finalizing all of these details. But Stephanie, that is a phenomenal idea. And I'm definitely going to be incorporating that into our marketing plans.
Love it. Yeah, I can see it now, like just hashtag A11y, like travel journey, you know. But I feel like you're figuring out so many things with organizing this, like an accessible venue. Whatever venue that is lucky enough to host you guys, they're going to learn so much about access. I'm so excited to kind of see this come together. And I'm also thinking, you know, this is year one, right? This is the inaugural. Just imagine how much better and awesomer and more accessible it'll be next year when you guys do it. It's a learning experience each time.
Please visit A11y Conference.com to register and learn more.
If you want to hear more conversations like this, hit that like button and subscribe to Disability Clinic for more accessible, entertaining, and educational content. And as always, thank you for watching, listening, and learning.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. See you soon.